All right, everybody, welcome back to Wednesday's episode of Top Tier Podcast. Today is August 31st. My name is Pale Poppy. There's the chosen one. You see him right here. And we got a bunch of topics for you guys today.
Sir, episode 9. All right, so we're going to start with this She-Hulk episode 2 review. You know, it was too short for me to actually have like an actual...
I was just about to say.
To have an actual opinion on, you know, where the story is going. Am I liking it? Yes. Okay, I am enjoying it.
Yeah, I really like it a lot.
But we were just talking about the fact that this show is only going to be 6 episodes. Is there going to be enough content for us to actually hold this? Because last week we were holding this in high regard. You know, we put out a video on YouTube saying that this is the best show of Phase 4. So, I mean, is it going to be that?
Oh.
Is it going to end up being that? What do you think needs to
happen? It's going to have 9 episodes.
Oh, okay,
It's going to have 9. I looked it up. 6, bro, no. At this length, no.
Yeah.
But 9 is about what 9 is fine.
It's sitcom-y. It's going to be a legit
sitcom-y.
sitcom. But for 30-minute episodes, and they're not even 30-minute episodes, they're acting like they have commercial breaks. They're making it just as long.
Mm-hmm.
They're making it like the last episode was 23 minutes. They're making it actually as if this is like airing on television with commercial breaks. 23
It was so
minutes?
short. When it went off, I was like, really?
I know.
It didn't even feel like a point that the episode would end at. It just was like, kinda, because it was like spoilers.
Yeah, let's do a recap. Let's do a recap. Basically, or you want to go in on that? Go ahead.
You got it.
Basically, all that happened is that, you know, she comes back this episode and she's like, oh, okay, like I fight crime now, I guess. Technically, I fight crime now. Everybody's looking at her to be some type of superhero now. She's turning into some type of superhero figure. She basically gets fired from her job, or she does get fired from her job. Looking for other jobs, can't get any because the dilemma, there's too much of a conflict between, there's too much of a conflict between her being a superhero and bringing too much negative attention perhaps, or maybe it's a liability. I don't know, maybe I'm being too realistic with it.
It's a liability, or she's just bringing too much attention. Like, people can't focus on the case if it's like, that's the green lady.
Right.
You know?
And then they give her nickname. She's officially She-Hulk now. The team of lawyers that she was having her prosecution case against, or was she the prosecution or was she the defense?
I think she was the prosecution, right?
Okay, whatever the opposite side of the prosecution or of the defense was, I'm not sure. That individual, the man that's in charge of that firm, comes to her and offers her a job. She accepts the job. When she shows up at the job, turns out he wants her to be head of the superhero legal department. It's kind of crazy to live it. Like, when I watch these shows, I always think about the fact that, like, in their reality, superheroes are just normal now. They've been living with superheroes in this reality for like 15 years now.
And we forget there's probably so much shit happening concurrently. So there's probably mutants probably are already running around, you know, might even be Inhumans. We don't really know. So that's normal. Like, it happens enough that they have to have a legal division for it.
Right. They kind of mentioned what you're talking about, the fact that there's other things happening in the background, because when she was at the dinner table with her family, I think at that moment she was unemployed. And her mom, I believe it was her mom, said to her, I'm trying to put you in contact with some guy that I know from the job, or I don't remember exactly where she knows him from. And she was saying he wants to be a superhero. And I'm like, so there's just people walking around probably with powers. Unless he's like some fake superhero. You know, sometimes, like, I know in the Harley Quinn show, they have a character, he's not really a superhero. Kite Man, he's not really a superhero. He doesn't have any powers necessarily. He's just
kind of reminds me of this dude from One Punch Man, who he has a bike. Like, he'll just jump and body slam you with his bike. Like, that's how he attacks people.
They don't have, like, powers. Like, they're not supers. They're just, like, vigilantes, basically.
Like, peak human, highly skilled, athletic humans.
That's crazy. Like, in that reality, they actually, like, their ambitions are to become superheroes. Those are like their figures, their icons that they look up to. So to finish out the recap, she gets hired. She turns up at the job. The man says, "Oh yeah, we want you to be head of our legal department, superhero legal department." And she's like, "Okay, like, I didn't know that I was signing up for this." And then the entire episode basically reveals to you that she has to be in She-Hulk form for the entirety
24/7.
of that position. So when she's at work, she now has to be She-Hulk. So she's kind of, they're starting to blend in the fact that her life as what's her something Walters? What's the name?
Jennifer Walters.
Jennifer Walters is going
Walters.
to now be blended in to her She-Hulk, her life as She-Hulk. So she's not gonna really have her alter ego. Her alter ego is gonna become Jennifer Walters. Essentially, is what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the episode, you find out that her first case is going to be to defend Abomination. And we met Abomination.
But remember, I didn't watch Shang-Chi, so maybe you might know. But
I didn't watch Shang-Chi either.
Are there two Abomination? Because I know he was in that movie. I know that for sure. That he was in that fight, that underground fight ring. So did he actually break out, or is there two? Because he looks different.
Oh yeah, and then
like the one in the other movie, he has like fish. He looks more like he has like fish-like features.
I think that's
so
what they made him look like.
Are there two Abomination?
I think that's what they made him look like. He's not gonna look like the old school, not old school, but he's not gonna look like the Abomination from Incredible Hulk. He's gonna take on a different form. They redid him, which is fine because they redid Hulk
so
too.
He did escape. But how did he escape that fast and get across the world? I don't know. It's Marvel, so they can do anything.
Basically. So yeah, at the end of the episode, she's like, "Yeah, I'll take the case. I'll defend him." What's his name?
Emil
Polanski or something?
Blonsky?
Polanski?
Emil Blonsky. That's what it says. Yeah, I looked it up.
She's like, "Yeah, I'll defend him." She takes the case. Polanski is like, "Yeah, like I'm a renewed man. Like I'm Zen now, right?" He was doing like the yoga poses and whatever. He was reading her haikus and shit. He's like talking about how he's all peaceful and stuff now. He's changed his ways. And then at the very end of the episode, we see on the television, they didn't really, because that's where it cut. That's where the episode ended. They didn't really talk about it. So I guess they'll talk about it next episode where we're gonna go from there. And the case is basically screwed because he escaped and now he's Abomination and he's fighting in like some ring, like some deathmatch ring.
And I think that's from Shang-Chi. So you see what I mean? How Phase 4, it's like it's all taking place in like the same couple of months.
Yeah, I guess.
And then
so.
there was the whole. I think that they saw that there was a newspaper where people zoomed in on it. And they addressed the statue in Eternals.
I saw that.
A statue in the ocean.
They also had a freeze frame where it was like some blog on the internet where you could see in small script them talking about a man with claws.
Yeah, Wolverine.
So here we go.
It's already starting. I don't know how they're going to explain it.
Mutants are a thing now. They're not even going to call them mutants.
Are they just going to be like they were just like low key the whole time and just never appeared?
X-Men?
Which they could write it like that.
X-Men?
Like, where they was just like they're all X-Men. Like there's just always been mutants. They didn't get involved.
I don't think they're going to call them mutants. Because like we were talking about just now, like there's probably things going on in the background where there's superheroes that have already been amongst them. They're just not like Avengers, so they're not on that high tier where they're just world renowned. I don't think they're gonna talk about mutants because everybody's a mutant. Like how they wouldn't. It would be kind of redundant to be like, oh yeah, mutants now exist, or maybe they just come up with the term and they start calling them mutants. Maybe it's like a new PC term. I don't know. They can go a lot of ways with it.
Or they might do. I think the smartest thing is what they can do is they can be like after the stones, Infinity Stones and cosmic energy, people started becoming mutants. Like Monica Rambeau, she became a mutant. I think because of her exposure to the stones, and then her exposure to Wanda, who's related to the Reality Stone.
But
chaos magic. That further evolved her to becoming a mutant.
I see where you're going with that, but I don't think that makes sense. If I'm trying to pick a hole in that, if Marvel did that, I would punch a hole in that real quick because, like you just mentioned, Wanda was a human, and then she got mixed up in some shit with some Infinity Stones.
She got mixed up in Infinity Stones, and then
she became.
And then all these other people. If you're unlucky and when you got brought back with the snap, you might have came back with some extra cosmic radiation.
But I'm saying
like Wanda.
I'm saying like
you a mutant.
They were already existing and they never called them mutants.
But that's the thing. They could have been. They might do that where it's like they were already existing. Or this is what they might do. They already existed, but the stones made it so that it made it so that more and more people became mutants. Like maybe because they have to do Apocalypse, and Apocalypse is old, so they can't do it like that. But they could say there's always was mutants, but there wasn't a lot of them. And then after the whole Infinity event, more and more people, the X gene got activated in a lot more people. It like accelerated it. So that's why you just start seeing mutants popping up everywhere.
I just don't like it. It doesn't work to me. It doesn't work to me because they're all mutants, essentially. Hulk is a mutant. Captain America is a mutant.
But even in the comics, they don't associate him with the X-Men.
How do they distinguish it? How do they distinguish it in the comics?
Isn't it the X gene? Isn't it like it's quantifiable? Like we can look at you and see where in your DNA. At least that's what I think. I'm not knowledgeable.
That's the knowledge right there. I exposed my ignorance because I didn't know that.
The X gene is a major gene when describing mutants. It says the X chromosome. No, hold on. That's something else completely. All right, so mutant genes. It says mutant genes. A few X gene mutants occurred early in human history.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to see if I can find out what exactly it means.
And then another thing is like, the X-Men have been around since the 70s. Right?
Yeah.
That's First
true.
Class, right?
I think so.
So, what the fuck?
X-Men first comic.
They're going to have to figure out a way to blend it in to where it seems like it's linear. Because you can't just go back unless you come from a different timeline. Maybe that's why they opened up multiverse.
I wouldn't like that. But they might do. They're probably going to do
What would you be pleased with? I
would be pleased with the fact that, kind of like Eternals, like, who the fuck are the Eternals? Eternals predate everyone in MCU.
But then they just came up with some history about it, and they were like, we had to stay in the background.
They could do the same thing with the mutants, where the mutants were like, there wasn't a lot of them, wasn't a lot of us. And then after the snap, a whole bunch of children start getting their powers at like 10, and this is a couple of years after the snap. So now they're all kind of like young First Class age. They're like teenagers. They just got their power, because even in the movies, didn't they get their powers at like 13, 14?
They got them young.
Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm saying. So it's like the snap happened, and he was like, there were always mutants, like Apocalypse and Professor X and Magneto. They probably would low key. They're gonna be able to write a whole history of them being real low key mutants. They said there's a couple of us who are low key. There's Logan, who's been there he's old. He's over 100 years old. But then the snap happened, and then mutants start popping up left and right. And then you can say Professor X decided, all right, I'm going to create a school, because like now it's beyond just me and a handful of us. There's a whole big ass generation coming up that we kind of have to get under control and kind of have to teach them to be good people. I think that I would accept that. I could accept it.
It's sad to say, but I don't think that they're going to make them part of this reality. I don't think they're going to be part of whatever this Earth dimension is, whatever this timeline is. I don't think they're going to be a part of that. The only Professor X we've seen, the only Fantastic Four we've seen, exist in a different timeline.
That's true. I wouldn't accept them bringing Fox over. Don't bring that bullshit over there.
What do you mean?
Because the Fox X-Men has some good hits, has some solid movies, but most of them are ass. Like, let's just be honest. Like, Origins was ass, and X-Men 2 and 3 were ass, and Days of Future Past was good. First Class was good. Dark Phoenix was ass. Like, these movies, most of them were terrible. The one he went to Japan was pretty cool, and Old Man Logan was cool. But I don't want to see Fox in the MCU. I just don't.
What do you mean by see Fox in the MCU? You mean like keeping their canon and transferring it over?
Keeping their canon in a multiverse and transferring it over.
Oh, I haven't thought of that.
But they're doing it already. They did it with Spider-Man. They brought the Sony Spideys into a movie.
But Sony is different because
with their history and continuities and their villains into an MCU movie.
But Sony is different because Sony is still like Sony kind of. Well, I guess I see what you mean. I guess I see what you mean. Yeah, because now they're blending it. They've basically come together. Because Sony was always on the side, and now they're just together. I guess I see what you're saying, but I really do think that they're not going to have it be something from this timeline, just all of a sudden, here come the mutants. Oh, Professor X, he's been here. That doesn't make any sense to me. Doctor Strange, in Doctor Strange 2, Doctor Strange from that opposite reality, he knew Professor X. He knew the Fantastic Four. So, I don't put it past Marvel to just be like, oh yeah, by the way, timeline switch up. Here we go.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm telling you, it's probably gonna be like he went to another timeline where these characters existed. I would not be surprised if Earth 616 or whatever it is, they just get their own Fantastic Four. They just start up. Like, it's not going to be the guy. What's his name? He was in. He directs A Quiet Place. He played Reed Richards. It's not going to be him just appearing in our timeline. It's probably going to be like a whole different variant of Reed Richards that just appears in 616, and the story just kind of starts. Like, we know the Fantastic Four story.
Yeah.
You know, and they're going to do the same thing with X-Men, just all fresh new. There was rumors they might even have the guy who played Gus Fring in Breaking Bad, Giancarlo Esposito, I think is his name.
I saw that. Yeah, he's in talks. He's gonna be in something.
Bro, I think people be mad because he's a melanated man, Afro-Latino dude who's playing Professor X. I think he would be a really badass Professor X.
I don't want them to be old, bro. Well, for Professor X, sure.
Professor X is an old man.
Yeah, for Professor X, sure. But I don't want them to be, because everybody is talking about, like...
No, the X-Men need to be kids because I want them to be around a long time. They need. I think the real actors need to be like teenagers, like their age. I think X-Men has potential.
Old, bro. He's not old literally, but like he's old.
For Reed Richards, he's old. I see Reed Richards as like a 31, 32-year-old guy.
Yeah. Right?
Like a 29 to like 33-year-old guy.
That makes sense too, because but they are astronauts though, so I don't know. You could probably find it online because the casting in Marvel is pretty decent.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We need. No. Do you know what the rumor is? The rumor is the guy from You, the main character from You, Penn Badgley. The rumor is he's gonna play Reed Richards.
I saw a little.
See, that's perfect.
I saw a mock-up.
He's like 33.
I
think he's like 33.
Did I send that mock-up of You today? They photoshopped his face on Reed Richards. It looked okay.
I'm gonna look it up.
It looked okay. I think that whoever they pick, I'm not gonna be happy with. Honestly.
I think out of anybody, I see it. Oh, that looks badass. Come on, bro. That'd be kind of tough. That would be kind of tough.
I don't know. And it's going to be like the classic Reed Richards. He's going to have the full beard and the grays and stuff. John Krasinski was a good casting choice. I wasn't pleased with it. Bro,
have you seen Penn Badgley with the beard in the set photos of You Season 4? Look kind of cold, bro. Makes me wish I had a beard.
You have a little something. You have more than me. Shit. All I got is just.
Bro, it's like, and I'm appreciative of it, bro. But I wish my shit was like, went here and
all the way
to all the way. Went here.
Yeah.
You know, when the bone money come in, I'm gonna get a beard transplant.
Oh shit! I'll have to get one too. We'll go together.
I'm telling you, that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna come out looking like Aubrey Graham. I'm gonna get the hair done too, just like he got that little.
You got them implants.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of She-Hulk, just like episode 2, not much for me to go based off of. It's like I feel like because it's only 9 episodes, and Loki felt this way, WandaVision felt this way, because it's so short of a series. It feels like every episode is just more setup. It doesn't feel like you ever get revelations. It doesn't feel like you ever get some resolve. It always just feels like, because even in that last episode of WandaVision, what happened? Vision is alive, but he's in a different form.
Where the fuck is Vision?
And he's gone.
Where is Vision?
He's gonna be in Phase 5. He's gonna be in Phase 5.
That's just my problem with this. Is the only thing that I really did not like about Multiverse of Madness is where is Vision? If there was a movie that he should have shown up, it was that movie.
Yeah.
I know he had no real that's probably why he had no real connection with her, and he's probably off on some like random wild place. But she needed you, man. Oh, she's going on a murderous rampage.
Another thing I forgot to mention from episode 2 is that we see Hulk in a spaceship flying to fucking who knows. So
Sakaar, because isn't that Sakaar is the place he was in Ragnarok?
Oh, that's where he's going?
Yeah.
I guess we can assume. But did they say that?
Well, he said that, like when in the beginning, he was talking about it was a Sakaarian spaceship. Like he literally said, a Sakaarian spaceship was trying to deliver a message to me. This is important. And that's when they spun off the road. Oh. And then he's on the same type of ship. It looks like exactly the same.
Okay.
When he left.
Yeah, I guess they could be going there then. I suppose. That makes sense.
What's the point of him going to Sakaar? Now, you might get your World Breaker Hulk. Maybe.
That'd be fire. I'm ready for it. I'm ready.
I don't know how they're gonna. It's gonna be a reach for them because they made him such a goofball for so long. It's gonna be hard to just all of a sudden he just snaps and now he's just taking steps and destroying cities like World Breaker Hope. Like he's a DBZ character.
I don't think we can see that.
Taking steps and destroying cities.
But Marvel does a good job of they don't stick directly to a canon. They basically make their own path. They kind of, I don't feel like they cobble it together necessarily, but they are fine with straying away from the path for a little bit, and then they'll bring it back, and then they'll put it back in line, and then they'll stray a little bit to the right, and then they'll bring it back in line. So that way people that are comic book fans have something to connect with. But if you're just watching Marvel, like most of us are just watching Marvel to see some cool shit, we don't really care if it follows comic lore. We just want to see some cool shit.
And really only the super nerds know. Because, bro, like, Marvel is so deep. You have to be like, you either have to grow up with it and you stuck with it, or you just like a psycho who has the little app and you just read all the comics on it from like the beginning of Marvel. Most of them have probably been digitized by now on that little app. You can pay a couple bucks a month, and you can literally read through everything.
They have.
I just don't care about Marvel. I don't even care about anime and manga enough to read half these mangas. So I don't care about. I don't care about anime.
It's too much.
Not anime. I don't care about Marvel. It's just too much, and it's just too much. All of a sudden, a god did something and everybody died, and they're just all right. We're going to the next universe, so they can retell all the stories every 10 years. I don't want to get involved in a whole storyline, and then they're just like, oh, it's not working. Sales are down.
Yeah.
Let's wipe it and start over.
Yeah.
And they just kill everybody and just restart the universe. Like I'm pretty sure there was one storyline where like Reed Richards has a son who's like apparently like has like Galactus powers. Like he has like some kind of connection with Galactus. And he just like erased the universe and just like created a new universe like in his hands and then went into it, and that was the new continuity they did for like another 10 years of comics.
Yeah, I mean, but that's how comic books work.
It was just like what?
A lot of they can make up anything. Continuing our review session. Hot D, baby.
Boss.
I'm gonna continue to say it. I'm gonna continue to say it because I just think it's a really great nickname. Hot D. I love Hot D.
I'm done.
House of the Dragon, episode 2.
This one felt like more of a setup episode, but it was, how should I say, very Game of Thrones. Not as much as the last one, but it was like
Really?
a lot of backstabbing, a lot of like, he hurt my feelings and he disrespected my family's honor, so I'm gonna go hang out with his op, and we're gonna plot to kill him. And this other guy's like, oh, I didn't like him. He disrespected me. I'm gonna hang out with his op, and we're gonna plot to kill the other guy. And misogyny plus other nonsense, and we're gonna continue to disrespect women and prostitutes
And pedophilia.
and pedophilia. Literally like what I just said, like Game of Thrones.
It's getting just like so good after
It's
2
good, but
episodes. I'm here for it.
It's good, but it's like really predictable. It's good, but it's very predictable.
This season, but I think that's because we already have 8 like imagine how the people who read the books feel. You know? I mean, even though they're familiar with the stories because the show is based off the stories. So maybe that's not a proper analogy, but for us, I think it's just because we have 8 seasons of content of Game of Thrones. We know what the fuck is up. Like, we know how this shit works now. We could play the political games with ourselves.
Bro, it's like it's always somebody's feelings, family members' feelings getting hurt. Then they start plotting to kill this guy because he wants the Iron Throne, or somebody gets slighted. So getting slighted or rejected is like, oh, he disrespected my honor. Now I have to kill him. It's just kind of predictable. Like,
But
spoilers.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
You're gonna say?
Well, I was just, spoilers. What's the guy's name? The black guy with the white dreads?
Corlys?
Corlys. Spoilers. He offered his daughter to the guy on the Targaryen on Iron Throne, who's an old ass man. The daughter's like 12 years old. So that's straight up pedophilia.
Yes.
And even though in those times, this is based off like medieval Europe, that was okay. He's even like, nah, I'm good, man.
Because he's not
And
playing
the guy,
the game, bro. He's not fit for it.
Yeah, he's like, I'm cool on that.
He's not fit for it.
And the dude, the girl's father was so mad about that.
Hit us with a recap.
That he was like, yeah.
Hit us with a recap, because you're only like 20 minutes into the episode.
And I gotta, because like the first, like, can you do a recap? Because I'm bad at recaps, because like I skip over stuff all the time, and I forget.
Damn, I was wanting you to do it
because
I don't remember everything.
I don't remember everything.
Basically,
I can't do it very well.
If we hit on the major points of the of that episode, basically it's okay. We're 6 months into the future since the wife died, since the queen died. Damn, can you look up what the king is named? I don't know how I forgot his fucking name. He's like he's the king. Maybe because I expect him to die, I'm not really paying that much attention to him. But we'll get to that in a second.
Let me see. I don't know why I'm king name. What's his name? Is his name really Viserys?
Okay, Viserys, right? King Viserys.
Yeah.
I guess that sounds right. They all have the same names, bro. That's why I'm just like, it's too.
Yeah.
So Viserys is like Viserys is like being. He has two things. He has two dilemmas, right? So he needs to get a wife because they need to uphold the lineage. They need to make sure that they look as strong as possible. The Targaryens are as strong as possible because that's all people respect is just a strong lineage. That's all we've ever known in Game of Thrones is that if you have the Iron Seat, the Iron Throne, whoever's in power, that family needs to be big as fuck and powerful as fuck. They need to at least appear that way. So that's his first dilemma. He needs to remarry. Then his second dilemma is that they have the pirates, the Crab King or whatever his fucking name is pretty much just holding up their main port of entry.
Wreaking havoc in the shipping lane, just like feeding people to crabs.
Yes.
It's fucking ridiculous.
So on one side, he has to handle remarrying. So Corlys comes out, and Corlys is like, yo, I'm a Valyrian, one of the strongest bloodlines in history. You're a Targaryen, one of the strongest bloodlines in history. I have children with the Targaryen. Let's combine our houses, and we can rule this realm. We can fucking rule this realm. On Corlys' side, obviously, he's playing a political game because he wants to be as close to the throne as possible. And but it also benefits, what did you just say his name is? Valeris? What did you just say his name was?
Viserys.
It also benefits Viserys because now you're combining houses. Now you become even bigger.
And these are like old school Valyrian houses, so that they're already connected
in the back.
You know, and he's already married to his cousin. You know, he's married to a Targaryen.
Exactly.
So he's really trying to. He wants a direct line. He doesn't want a branch family. He wants main family.
And it makes
Iron
sense.
Throne line.
So he's hit with those two dilemmas in the beginning. We already saw in the first episode that he's been keeping company with the Hightower girl. I forget her name, but the daughter of the Hand. He's been chilling with her a little bit. We already know what's going to happen with that. And then it comes out.
She gonna get knocked off too.
It comes out.
She's getting knocked off.
Maybe like 20 minutes in the episode that Daemon, the brother of the king, and he's like head of the Watch or whatever. He stole a dragon egg and went and took over the Dragonstone Castle. So then he has to deal with that. So he's got a few things on his plate. And he's just so soft, bro. The entire time it felt like, dude, this guy just needs to die so someone more powerful can handle this situation.
Talking about Viserys, talking about Daemon.
Viserys. Daemon too.
I feel like Viserys is just too indecisive, and he has
no strategy of his own.
He lets shit happen.
I like that he's moral.
Kind of just lets shit happen.
I like that
he's more moral, and I agree with that. Like what would you do in his situation?
Which
That's
one?
the tough part. Viserys, where it's like you don't have a son heir, your family looks weak. Enemies are encroaching on your shipping ports, fucking up your logistics.
Well, you have an heir. He already named his heir, so he's gonna have a princess. He's going to have he's gonna have a queen. So there's no problem.
Maybe he should marry his daughter off to like a strong house.
I guess we'll get there when we get there. I don't know. That's probably not going to be anytime soon. I don't know. But so then he has to deal with this Daemon situation. So he sends off the Watch. And in charge of with the Hand in charge of the Watch because Daemon is head of the Watch and Daemon no longer is with them. He's trying to go conquer some other castle or whatever. He gets word that Daemon also has a wife. He plans to take a wife, and she's already pregnant. So then it's like
who he met at a brothel.
Yeah, she's like whoever, like the leader of the brothel or whatever. I don't know. So then they go there. They have a little standoff on the Tower of Dragonstone. Pretty cool scene. Felt very intense. He has the dragon egg. They're trying to do a little negotiation. Everybody draws their swords, and it's real intense. Here comes. Can you help me with the name again? What's the daughter's name?
Rhaenyra. I think I remember.
Okay, you gotta give us some grace. It's only 2 episodes into a new ass series.
Yeah, it's gonna take a while, bro. Game of Thrones takes a little bit.
So Rhaenyra comes out of nowhere with her dragon. She is able to talk down Daemon. Daemon gives her back the dragon egg. All right, they get the dragon egg back. They go back home. And then, what do we have after that? Valerius is like, what's his name? Damn, I'm terrible with these names.
Is it Viserys?
Viserys. Why do I want to call him Valerius or something? Viserys is like, all right, now I'm going to take a wife. He meets up with the little girl or whatever, and it's like, nah, I'm not really feeling it. He ends up taking the Hightower girl as a wife. That's what he says. That's what he claims. And then at the very end of the episode, Corlys meets with Daemon and is like revealing his life story. Turns out that he is, he has bloodlines to the throne or whatever of his Valyrian house. And it looks like they're going to make some type of pact to somehow overthrow Viserys, or we don't know what's going to happen with that. But they're in cahoots with each other, and that's when the episode ends. So we've got Game of Thrones is Game of Throning. That's what it's doing right now. It's giving you everything that you need, and I'm here for it.
I'm low key. I gotta stop. I was low key reading spoilers.
Of the show?
Low-key reads of the show.
But I'm like reading ahead in the book.
I'm a little buzzed, so I don't even really remember what I just read. I got one thing of that whole little thing I read. And I'm not gonna spoil you. I'm not gonna spoil the audience. You know, I get curious, but yeah, I mean, it's really solid right now, and I think they're really. And I watched like a writers kind of. They spoke at the end of the episode. And they really want to touch on the patriarchy. That's like a big focus.
They did talk about
and
that.
It makes a lot of sense, but that's kind of direction they're going, and it makes a lot of sense because like Rhaenyra, you know, she wants to be involved in these political conversations. Mm-hmm. She wants to be in the room when they're talking economics and they're talking shipping lanes and they're talking military strategy. She's like, well, I should be in the room because in a couple of years I probably have to deal with this. Oh, you can't be in here. Oh, well, yeah, you'll learn with time. Right. And she is in the room. They really don't believe. You know, they really don't believe. And that's true. She does. She is in the room sometimes.
But she doesn't have a voice.
She doesn't have a voice in it. Yeah. Because they really don't believe that she's just a placeholder. She's just a worst case scenario. You get Iron Throne.
Right.
We'll do absolutely anything to keep you off.
And that's what the cousin was saying. I don't know her name. I got to just spend a day where I just study the names.
She's the wife of the
Corlys.
Black guy with the Corlys. I forget his name, but he has a dress.
Yeah. It's getting good. It's getting good though. It's getting good.
I like it. I mean, she's my favorite character so far. She definitely is Rhaenyra is definitely my favorite character currently.
I think Daemon is going to be mine.
Daemon is a beast though. I can tell.
He's a little bitchy though.
Number 2. Yeah.
He's bitchy.
He's whiny. But you know, you gotta love those scorched earth sibling characters.
He's like the bastard in the original series.
Yeah.
That's what he feels like to me.
Jon Snow was evil and was trying to get revenge.
I just don't. I don't know. I'm gonna enjoy that series though. All right, moving on. Where should we go from here? Let's see what we got.
We could do No Jumper.
Yeah, let's do No Jumper. I had this song in my head all fucking day.
It's a nice little interlude, little pondering song.
Sounds like Beyonce. That's my only thing with this song. It sounds like Beyonce. It sounds like she wanted to do a Beyonce song. It came out around the same time as B-Day too. All right, so we've got JBP versus Adam 22. That's what I'll label the segment. JBP versus Adam 22. So if you're not familiar with Adam 22, Adam 22 is head of the company No Jumper. It's a podcast. It's a YouTube. It's a Twitter account, kind of like the same as the Shade Room type shit. And they basically just give news on everything in hip hop. Adam 22 happens to be a white man. who talks a lot about black culture.
Kind of like Vlad, man. Like Vlad.
Exactly like that. Not kind of. Exactly like Vlad. He's essentially Vlad mixed with the Shade Room.
He's a younger Vlad. Yeah. Mixed with the Shade Room.
And he was featured on the Joe Budden podcast. And the thing that the clip that went viral from that specific episode was when Joe Budden and his co-hosts Ice and Ish began to take a stance against Adam 22, talking about how a lot of the content that he covers and that he is able to monetize has to do a lot with black trauma. And in this specific clip that I'll play for you guys, they're talking about Kevin Samuels specifically, but they also got further in depth with just overall how they're talking about, you know, how Adam 22 is always talking about drill music. He has drill rappers come on and stuff. And a lot of the things that he tries to get out of his content has to do with just like murders and essentially just overall black trauma. So I'll go ahead and play the audio and I'll give you guys a taste of what they were talking about. This is just a little clip from that specific episode.
Nastiest performance I've ever seen. What? Why do y'all do that?
It's an insane position for somebody in media to hold.
Please.
What is your job as a content creator? Your job is to make content and get that content out to the people who want to see it.
False.
Somebody dies, there is a huge demand for that content. You re-upload it, people see it on their subscription feed, they click on it because this is a very talked about thing. People are
Nasty.
literally mourning
I can't
it.
even listen to this.
What is the part?
That is the thing.
Give me a coherent argument against
He's not lying.
content when that person is extremely newsworthy.
No, it's all business and it's business.
What's the content and the
If you
negative
got a problem with him
connotation
and
on
someone
it?
outside the culture, but I'll shut up.
What was your
So,
take
yeah.
on it?
No, I won't say.
That does sound nasty.
I won't
I
say.
can
it.
see that.
Nah, that's what I was asking. I wanted to clarify because I didn't
Nah,
see
he
it.
didn't slander his name.
of course
He
not.
just re-uploaded everything in the world that he had on Kevin Samuels in the moment that he died.
We had never even done clips from that interview, so I think we clipped a bunch.
So
of
you
different
found a good time to do it. That sounds disgusting to me.
You had a Kevin Samuels.
It's
on it.
opportunity.
We had
Opportunistic.
already done it. We didn't do clips at that time. We started a clips channel after that. We went hard with the clips from that interview. After he passed, we had never done the clips before.
How soon after he passed?
I don't know.
Shit,
next
an
day.
hour.
Yeah. The next
1
day,
hour.
probably. Yeah.
It was nasty, Adam.
What is the nasty part
hold
about it?
yourself
The nastiness is you are trying to capitalize off of somebody else's demise before his family even had an opportunity to.
How am I trying to capitalize on it? I want the people who are sad about his passing to have the content that they want to see.
Then
served
turn
up
off.
to them.
Then turn off monetization.
Hey, come
If you
on,
turn up
bro.
monetization, you're going to stop it from spreading on the platform.
Stop
Nobody's going
it,
to see
Adam.
it. You know it's true.
And I don't know if that's true.
You know it.
Stop it, yo.
Every YouTuber out there knows I'm telling the truth.
He has a big enough platform. I don't know if that's true. He has millions of viewers.
That why you did that?
Stop.
Yeah.
Because I thought that people. Yeah. The whole thing with making this content. If I do a Joe
I'm
Budden
going to
interview,
market this off.
Is
of
it
this.
nice that I made a bunch of money off
Say what you're
interviewing you?
saying the right way, because I'm going to upload this.
Is it nice? Good. Is it nice that I made? Did I interview you for money? No, but I made, let's say, $10,000 off of AdSense when I interviewed you. Did I interview you for money? No.
I'm not
Is
dead.
the $10,000 very nice?
But
I'm not dead.
It's different when
I'm not dead.
Oh shit, he passed.
Stop it, Adam. I'm not dead.
How does the death change that?
A big.
because had he not passed, you wouldn't have uploaded that like that.
Had there not been a giant swell of
Yeah. Oops, my bad.
This is my thing, right?
Say it again.
This is my thing.
Yeah.
If you have a problem, this is all business and money. If you have a problem with him being a white man doing this, don't support him.
See, I don't think that it has to.
It's ugly. It's ugly either way. Even if a FBA black man, because people have problems with academics doing it, is because he's a non-FBA. He typically reports on foundational Black American freedmen, rappers, and instigates beefs. And he doesn't. And his own personal sayings, he has a lot of hateful rhetoric and propaganda against foundational Black Americans. So you have a problem with it. He's just getting money, right? He's a media person. He's gonna cover
the
it.
end.
He's gonna instigate it. That's the end. If you have a problem with him doing it because he's not of the culture and he has contempt, don't support him. That's all we can. That's all you can say.
So
if
you're putting it more in the hands of the consumer. You're saying that
I'm putting it in the hands of the people are going to report the death. They're going to report the death, but you don't have to support it. There are plenty of news shows that are marketed towards a certain audience that fail because they don't capture the audience. They don't get the money. They're going to cover what they're going to cover. It's business. If you think they're being disrespectful to the culture, and they're not of the culture and they're making money off Black death, don't support them. If you'd rather support a FBA person doing that. Cool, because you know it's gonna stay in your community. That's fine, but that's still promoting Black Death. You just have a problem with it being done by someone not of the culture.
So let's stay here.
It's still
Let's stay here because there's a couple of different perspectives that we could take from this, or we could take this conversation. But let's stay here. We could stay on what they were talking about specifically was about death, covering death for monetization. But they also went on further. If you guys want to go watch the clip, sure, go support that podcast. But actually, I think it's a Patreon episode, so you gotta buy it. But anyway, what they started talking about further along the way was that they were talking about him profiting off of Black Death. So let's stay there. So, yes, you're correct. Just boycott with your dollar. If you don't support his morals, don't watch it. Don't consume it.
right.
Don't give him any dollars. Is essentially what we're saying. But the point, and I'm very, very strong in my position that I have a lot of faith in the consumer. I think that I think that companies should be able to trust consumers to decide what they want to see and what they want to hear and what they want to consume. But in the same token, a lot of consumers, the majority, people are not like us. The majority of consumers don't have a backbone to say, I don't agree with this, so I'm not going to support it. I'm going to scroll past this post. I'm not going to click on this post. I'm not going to go watch that movie. I'm not going to go buy those clothes. We were talking about Gen Z high fashion last podcast. A lot of people don't have something to stand on within themselves to say, I'm not going to consume it. So the shit is going to come out anyway. So what they were talking about, and Joe Budden brought it up, was that, hey, Adam 22, if that's not what you're intending to do, is to monetize and to capitalize off of this type of death, and something that most people, maybe not most, but a lot of people view as immoral coverage, turn off the monetization. Would that change anything though? Like, what's the rule there? Like, where does the line become? Where do you get away from the gray area, and when do you flip it over to the fact that, like, okay, if this is something that is sensitive material, and I'm a media company, so I have to cover it. It's a burning topic. I have to cover it. Is there a difference between putting it out there versus putting it out there and monetizing it? Where do you draw that line?
That's tough because these channels are not doing this shit for free. It's going to be monetized. Period, point blank.
But I'm saying, like,
he happens to be in a certain space, and he's monetizing the news and what's popping, what's going to make him money, and it's cold-hearted business. If you feel you have a problem with him being a white man, basically cosplaying a black
I'm away
guy,
from that. I'm away from that.
like a black rapper, you know, that's the line. Like, who's doing this for free? Who do you know is covering news for free?
But I don't want to
People
conflate.
want to follow him and want to make money.
I don't want to, because that is important to say that he is a white man covering a lot of black consumer culture. That is important to say. But I'm straying more away from that. I'm trying to generalize it a bit more, because what's the difference between Adam 22 and the Shade Room? What's the difference between the Shade Room? What's the difference between Adam 22 and Wendy Williams?
Is owned by I'm pretty sure owned by Caribbeans and Africans.
But what's the difference between them and, like, Wendy Williams? Wendy Williams has made an entire career off of covering salacious topics in a negative, quote unquote, negative way. But guess what? She had a long ass running show. Her show ran 10 plus years. So is the thing I'm trying to have a conversation about is, where is the line drawn when it has to, when you're dealing with these types of sensitive topics? Where is the line drawn? When is it the monetization part, or is it the coverage? Because when it seems to me,
it's both. I think it's both.
So you're saying that they shouldn't cover it? People need to know these things.
It depends on the circumstance. Like, when we're talking about academics and how he got called out because he would literally instigate shit. He would spread rumors and would cover it, kind of like, he's talking shit, and he would instigate it. Then someone would end up dead, and then he would cover it. That's kind of manipulation for your own views. Kind of reminds me of that movie Nightcrawler. I don't know if you've seen that movie Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal, where at the end he was setting up crimes to record so he could make more money.
Yes.
It feels very much the same to me.
So what does a company like fucking TMZ do if Kanye
It's
West
exploitation either way, but they're getting paid.
if Kanye West goes and has a run-in with paparazzi and they film it, you're saying that and he gets charged, let's say he gets charged for assaulting somebody. You just don't cover that? You're a media company. So you're saying they shouldn't do their job?
No, they should do their job, but just understand this is for money. And that Kanye fucking with paparazzi is a very general thing. A lot of these other companies.
This is general. This shit
they
happens
cover-
every day. People die. Famous people die every day.
No, I understand.
And they're
but
gonna
they
cover it.
they cover a very specific niche. They cover like drill, hip hop.
They do.
Like
But
Chicago
Kevin Samuels
culture.
isn't that. Kevin Samuels is just some dude that got popular for a couple of years on YouTube.
See, that's where I can agree with you. Where Kevin Samuels is like, he kind of was a manosphere guy that like mostly black men and women listen to, but I'm sure it wasn't just black men and women.
His
Like, he
base
a
was
very
all black
big
people.
figure.
His base was all black people. Black people made him pop.
Yeah, black people make everything pop.
I understand, but I'm saying specifically about him, his main base, 90% of his base, probably even more, was just black people, whether it be the love or the hate.
I agree, right? I'm just looking at it from the perspective of outside of Kevin, especially Shade Room. They mostly cover like the worst of our community, and it makes us look like. And these are people who are not in our community. Shade Room is owned by a Nigerian woman, but you don't see anybody running around the worst parts of Nigeria showing the craziness that goes on there 24/7 and profiting off of it.
So then let me ask you
people
this.
can go around and call you an Akata and call you a nigga, and say you lazy. Look at these drill dudes, because your whole page is just propagating the worst of the worst. When I could go to your country, you don't see me in your country in Africa talking about Boko Haram, or you don't see me in some rural white area talking about the crime that goes there, and that's all my page is about. And I'm a black man,
So then let me ask
but
you
my
this.
whole page is about rural white crime. You get what I'm trying to say?
I see, because there's so much gray area here that I just don't know if you can really pick a side, because it is literally media. So when I asked you what's the is the problem with the monetization, or is the problem with him covering the news in general? If the news, if you're a news media company, and your job is to cover the news, like, you can't eat your cake and have it too. You have to pick a side. So it's like,
No, they can do whatever they want to do. End of the day, they can do whatever they want to do. I'm always gonna put it on the consumer. If you want this dude gone, you get on one accord and leave, and don't follow him. His shit is gonna be so dead. He's gonna quit his damn self.
I see
Like
what you're
there's like a
saying.
black news channel. There's a whole bunch of black news channels.
So
that
you don't
push
think
propaganda.
that
People don't follow them, and they close down because they can't afford to pay people. Because people are voting with their dollars.
I see
People
what
are
you're
voting
saying.
with their viewership. Because they get ad revenue.
I see what you're saying. Because I guess things will fizzle out. There's been a whole plethora of, paparazzi. What do you call those types of newspapers that used to come out back in the day, where it was like just all exploitation, just made up shit? What do you call those?
Say that again.
Those newspapers from back in the day, where they would just make up, like the Inquirer and things like that.
Yeah.
What do you call those?
It's the tabloids.
Yeah, tabloids. So you'll have tabloids that just fizzle out. They have their moment and then they die out, because I guess the consumer decides, we're not interested, or maybe they catch on. But if you're reporting real news, it's kind of hard for people not to just want to, especially with social media. Like, that's the thing. I think that the main difference here is that in a digital age, when you have someone like No Jumper, a company like No Jumper, where they're just always just in your feed, it's pretty much impossible for you just not to be able to help them monetize whatever they're putting out there. My question to you, I think I would love to know from if you're putting yourself in the position, like, say you're Adam 22, you're head of this media company, you guys service millions of people, tens of millions of people. I understand, but I'm just saying it in general.
You got the joke. It was a joke. It was a meme. But yeah, it's like I pressed my transformation ring and it just went.
In general, what would be your rules of ethics? Like, are you covering? Let's keep it here. Let's keep it at the Kevin Samuels topic. Not even the drill topic, because that's a whole nother thing. Let's just keep. And
if I was Adam, I'm gonna cover it because it's popping.
It's your job.
I mean, it literally is just it's algorithms. It's manosphere, super manosphere dude dies. You know what I mean?
Super popular.
Super manosphere sweetheart. Like, dude's just like super popular. I watched his rise. I watched him go from like 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 to like he jumped past 1 million. I was watching it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like I'm gonna cover it. I think most people covered it. I don't think that's a good example for what Joe Budden was trying to say. I don't think using Kevin Samuels was a good example because everybody literally covered it. I mean, everybody.
So you think that the example should lean more on the drill side, where
it should lean more on like the drill side and
because they pressed him about that too.
Chirac side. Yeah. That's where it makes sense. But bringing up Kevin just kind of was not a good example.
Well, because he's Joe Budden is sensitive about death. He's sensitive about that shit. So he doesn't like when people cover it. His point is valid. I just don't think it would have made a difference if he monetized it or not. If your problem is, I guess that's what his problem is that he monetized the death. But if we're speaking about the drill rappers, that's a whole nother conversation. Because when it comes to that shit, and set aside the fact that he's a white man covering it, because other black people do it too. There's other companies that are owned by black people that do that shit too. Joe Budden will talk about fucking drill shit that goes on as someone dies. Maybe he's not doing it in the same way, where he's trying to make it salacious and do all types of YouTube clickbaity shit. Maybe it's not the same way, but if you're a media company, you're covering it. So with the drill shit, it's like, I stand on the side of like, like if your job is to report the news, so yeah, maybe you may be a little too much on the salacious side, but at the end of the day, like, it's not your job as the media company to try to portray a negative thing as something positive. You could talk about the positivity, Nipsey Hussle, for example, and I don't think he did anything negative, but let's just, like, the coverage around Nipsey Hussle, the narrative that he ended up, when he lost his life, the narrative that remains to this day is positive. They talk about a lot of positivity surrounding this Nipsey Hussle. But with some people like Pop Smoke or XXXTentacion, there's still lingering negativities there because maybe it's the way people perceive them to be.
Perceive them and things they did in the past. Because, I haven't watched the X documentary, and now I kind of would like to watch it tonight. But did he actually beat his pregnant girlfriend? I mean,
probably, but it doesn't even matter.
That's not something that just kind of goes away. He did not. I see people. We know people who wish death on him and are happy he's dead. I don't wish death on anybody, and I'm not gonna speak on the dead, but I always think that was unfortunate. Dude, he went to go buy a motorcycle. Dudes pulled up on him and they murdered him.
And another problem. We'll wrap this up. But another problem I had with Adam 22, like, I took the side more so of Adam 22 in this topic. It seems like you're doing that as well. But
not really, dude.
Really?
I'm not on Adam's side because I think he's a culture vulture. He's like Vlad 22. These are just dudes who just, their families probably don't like black people.
I just don't like that. I don't like that you're talking about the fact that he's a white dude.
They gravitated towards the culture and they saw a way to make money, like the Fat Joes. And
I disagree.
The 6ix9ines and the 22. These guys are all in the same kind of vein.
But I disagree with that perspective.
Vote with your dollar. If you delegitimize them and you don't support them, they're fucked.
I just disagree with that perspective that it matters that he's a white dude, because literally black people and black companies do the exact same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But we can move on from this. VMAs, I don't have a lot to say about VMAs. I didn't watch the VMAs. You didn't watch the VMAs?
I did not watch the VMAs.
I did not watch the VMAs. I don't even know who won. I know Nicki Minaj performed.
I don't think I've ever watched the VMAs. I don't think ever in life.
The VMAs to me just feel like the Taylor Swift show. For some reason, I feel like Taylor Swift always finds a way to steal the show, even if she's not even fucking performing. Ever since the Kanye West incident happened, it just seems like every VMAs is about her. They always have her on the cameras. They always are like, oh my god, Taylor Swift just arrived what's Taylor Swift doing? She fucking released a new album at the VMAs this year. Like, not released, but she says that she's going to release a new album. Like, it's always about fucking Taylor Swift. I don't think there was anything controversial that happened. People said that Jack Harlow was on coke. I didn't see it. It did look like
Jack
it to
Harlow.
me.
Don't get me started on Jack Harlow. Don't get me started on Jack Harlow. He's the biggest industry plant. They're pushing him so hard. They really want
That's
black
not
people
industry
specifically they're pushing him so hard. They're like, we want him to be a star so bad.
That's what the VMAs is for.
They are literally suffocating us with Jack Harlow.
That's what the VMAs is for.
They will not stop.
But that's what it's for. You understand that, right? The VMAs is
I will
literally
never
for labels.
respect Jack Harlow as a rapper. I just won't do it.
Well, then respect.
But-
you have to respect him as a music
And it's
maker.
not
though.
even because he's a white guy. It's not even because he's a white guy. I just don't, because I like Eminem.
I like some of the guys.
I like some of the same energy. I like some of the Gaga songs because I don't really listen to Eminem like
But
that.
what the fuck does Jack Harlow know about rapping?
But like he ain't no, ain't no Meech, ain't no Kanye, ain't no Meechy Darko, ain't no Kanye, not no Killer Mike. Like those are some of my favorite rappers.
I like his songs. I think he's fine. I mean, but like to your point, like the reason why he's being pushed is because he fucking makes the label a lot of money. The VMAs is there for labels. Award shows in general are for labels to spend. You know the politics behind this shit. It's not like because people have to. The labels have to pay to even be considered for these awards at the award shows. When you're talking about a Grammys, or if you're talking about a BET Awards, any of these shows, they have to pay it in order to be even considered. So if you have Jack Harlow up there performing, you think they just invited Jack Harlow?
No.
You think they just when Meg Thee Stallion won all those fucking Grammys, you think they just give her the Grammys?
I'm sorry, man. I don't think Meg makes good music, but that's just me.
That's a different
Call
topic,
me a
but
hater.
I'm just saying, like,
It's a sex appeal that's carrying with a sore back, a very sore back. That's real though.
that back is about to break, bro. When this trial goes on, let me stop. Let me stop. We can move on. You want to talk about this Ohio incident? We just talked. We saw that.
We can briefly cover it. I had an article up just because I wanted to have her name. But yeah, there's a volleyball player. She plays for Duke. They play BYU, and BYU is known for having very racist history. My mom, watches this whole page about the black people at BYU talking about how racist it is there.
Where's BYU?
Isn't it in Utah?
Okay. Right.
think it is?
Duh.
Yeah.
Boulder.
Boulder's in Colorado, my G.
Oh. What does BYU stand for?
Brigham Young University.
Oh God. All right, go
I'm
ahead.
sure it's like a Mormon. Isn't it like a Mormon university or something like that? I don't know. But anyway, she's a volleyball player at Duke, and during the game there was this crazy racist white man who was just every time she would serve, he's screaming nigger, and he's threatening her, and no one did anything. They refused to do anything to the man while he's just screaming epithets at her. And I don't want to go too long on this. I'm just kind of can we just people just are pissed off that we exist. That's one of the things that sometimes sit up at night. People really are angry that I exist, and if they had the Infinity Stones, they would do it.
They would snap.
and erase all of us. Dude, can we just exist? People want to punish us because they can't walk us around in chains and leashes. At least that's how I feel. People are still mad.
I thought about
You feel like it's your birthright to own someone as a slave. That's the only thing I think it is. They're just bitter about it. And you weren't even there.
Well,
we both weren't there.
When I heard about this topic, when you brought this topic to me, I instantly just thought about it in just the sports realm. Because, I'm a big fan of the NBA. I don't watch a lot of sports. I mainly just watch the NBA. And in the NBA, there's always problems in Utah with people doing the same exact thing. You said you had a racial, there's something about Utah where there's always a fucking problem with black people. But I was thinking about it mainly in sports. because I'm pretty sure it was Russell Westbrook had an issue with somebody in Utah saying something racist to him. I'm pretty sure there was Ja Morant having a problem with somebody saying things that were racially insensitive to him. Not racially insensitive. They were literally saying like the N-word to him. They're always, to me, I put it more in a sports perspective of like, where's the protection? And we've touched on this before, but where's the protection for athletes?
I mean, first off, there needs to be protections because like her team didn't do shit. The Duke, if I was the coach, we have to, dude, come on. I would shut this motherfucker down, bro. But that's me as a black man. We're not gonna sit here. We're not gonna do this. We're not gonna be calling someone a nigger and you get to sit here and troll the whole fucking game, like it's a Twitch chat. We're not doing that. So I think it's very telling, even more so, because you know that school people talk about how racist BYU is. We don't even have to go over how racist there's guys from Utah. What is the Duke doing? What is the away team doing?
I understand that, but I don't think
anything?
that it's like that would be.
This dude is threatening her.
Yeah, that
not just calling her a nigger. He's threatening her.
That is a great point. As the coach, yes, shut the shit down. I understand that point. That's actually a great point because you need to protect your players. You're throwing off the team in general. Like he's throwing. That's how you know it's like, is this dude on code with the racism, the coach? Because I'm not gonna, even if he just didn't care, but he was just like, you would think he would be thinking, this is fucking up my team's mental stability and chemistry and tempo. Like, get this dude out of here. And then on the side of, because she mentioned it too, the player. I don't know why. I don't ever get the people's names, bro. I'm sucking with names today. I'm normally very, very good with them. But she even mentioned, like, it was reported that the man wasn't even a fan. I mean, the man wasn't even an attendant at the school. He was just some random fan.
He's some random dude.
What is BYU doing? So maybe it's a chain of command thing where I'm going to tell my teammate, we're going to talk to the coach. Coach is going to go over and talk to BYU coaches. BYU coaches need to talk to whoever's in charge of the venue.
Just look evil. You can look at some people in some places and you can just see the evil.
They did say that the man was banned. So I mean,
after the fact.
Yeah, exactly.
But I wonder, like, have you ever been out in Texas and you just seen someone? It's like, that dude's definitely a racist. Have you ever had that experience? Just off like,
there are those
like a glance, where it's just like they just like shriveled up and they're just like they're walking around like.
Every black person knows the look. Every black
probably
person
about
knows
to.
the look.
They're just like probably like. You can see it. They're just like they have a lot of wrinkles because they're not aging too well and they just always hateful and angry.
Hating in the wrinkles. But we're talking about like protection and things like that. You want to talk about the other topic about the breaking and entering scene in Ohio?
Yeah, and you know, this is a little bit of a different topic, but yeah, there was a guy in Ohio. Apparently, he was an abusive ex-boyfriend of a young lady, and apparently he's been stalking her since they broke up. I think they had broken up over a year and a half ago. He looks like a psycho on the camera. He tries breaking into her house. He's breaking the door down. He's ramming the door. He's ramming the door. As soon as he pops it, father just puts hot shit in his body.
Bro, whatever happened to just coming outside like the movies, coming outside with the radio over the head, with the boombox over your head, and just playing a nice little melody? Baby! Throwing rocks at the window. Whatever happened to that?
Yeah.
This nigga,
he's trying to break into the house.
Off.
He looked deranged. Did you just see him? He looked like he was mentally gone.
He's obviously mentally off. The man tried to fucking break into the house. To do what? What are you gonna do?
Her father was there, so you already knew the scrap was going down. I don't know what he thought was gonna happen.
The reports are saying that the father was in the house while the man was trying to enter the house, and he was saying to him, leave. I am armed. So if you watch the video, it's like 2 minutes long of this guy just like fiddling with the door, ringing the doorbell. Then he just starts budging it, trying to hit the door in with the shoulder. They said that he was able to budge open the door, and then that's when the father laid fire. There's something about men these days, and it's not just these days, but there's something about men where it's like this possessive nature of women is weird.
It's like a really weird, like it's like Attack of the Incels. Like a lot of people say that, like, you remember Elliot Rogers?
Nuh-uh.
He was like this half white, half Asian guy. He went to Santa Barbara. He like killed his roommates, and he went on like a rampage, mass shooting. He killed a lot of people. Auto. Yeah, he's like incel Jesus, bro. He's like incel Kevin Samuels. I feel like a lot of people, like, after that, man, his spirit is still alive in the world, because that felt very Elliot Rogers. This like really possessive, like incel type guy.
For me, it's like
Very possessive over women, has all these ridiculous expectations, and he will kill for it.
I have this story was not. I'm sad to admit this story was not unfamiliar to me. Not this specific story, but just like this type of endangerment of a woman when it comes to possible domestic violence is not something that I lived underneath an apartment, like somebody's apartment, where there was always some type of domestic dispute. Dude literally like climbed my balcony in order to get to some woman that he was dating. It was like she would lock him out. He would be banging on the door, let me in. Like I've lived a lot. I have friends, one in particular, who has had a toxic relationship where it was just like very, very, very toxic, very mentally draining, where the man ended up driving or taking a flight, I don't know what he did, all the way to her house and showed up at her house. I just want to talk to you. You know, there's a lot of men out there. For this specific situation, I'm just glad that she had protection, because there's a lot, meaning her father, because there's a lot of circumstances where had she had been alone, this would have been one of those stories that you read where it's like just like
he got
crazy
in the house.
shit.
I wasn't sure, but you said he actually got in before he got shot.
That's what
I thought
I
it was
read.
the father just opened it real quick and start blasting. But
I
it didn't look like he was ramming the door. That must have been a weak ass door, because he didn't look like he was ramming it that hard.
It's in Ohio. I'm just kidding. I'm just
So,
kidding.
I don't know.
But I just,
But
man.
my thinking is I would do the same thing. If some motherfucker pulled up to my house and was trying to get at my daughter, bro, I'd be like a commando. I have the bulletproof vest. I'd be like John Wick.
Yeah, you got to take this lead.
You come in here, bro. But the problem is, he shot him once, and then he started walking away, and then he killed him. That's my only gripe. That it's like he was asking for it because the guy's a creep. He was asking for it, but like that's kind of manslaughter.
You'll probably hear more reports about,
especially that last shot.
You'll probably hear more reports about, if you know, like if you have any experience with these types of situations, this man was definitely in a domestic violence type situation with the woman that he was dating.
Yeah, and there's probably a lot more that we didn't know.
He's
We haven't
probably
seen.
violent towards her. For you to say that this was over a year and a half ago type of relationship, they broke up a year and a half ago, means that this has been this is persistent. That's
He's
the
been
reason
stalking
why.
her.
That's the reason why he fired on him. I'm assuming, but I'm sure the reports. If you follow this, I mean, because the man wasn't charged, right? The father wasn't
No,
charged.
he wasn't.
It was self-defense. But if you were to follow this this story, I'm sure you would get to the details of this was a domestic dispute, a relationship that had a lot of domestic instances. So yeah, you got to taste this lead. You got to taste this lead.
Some real hot shit. Some real hot shit in your chest. And I'm not cracking a joke, even though I kind of was. I said he took them shots like a man, like dude's a creep. But in the video, he took them shots like a man.
Let me play some music.
I mean, the dude, like, he got shot. He turned around, got shot 2 more times, and he just walked normally away. And then he sat down on the ground and just waited to die.
The story is depressing me. I'm gonna play a little bit of
It's
cheerful.
depressing.
I'm gonna play some cheerful music for just a second, just so I can get my energy back.
It's sad, man, but I've seen, like, dude, like, we don't really, like, you know, these kind of stories don't really get publicized like that. Like, I saw a story, this is another white community, this is like in a similar, it seemed like a similar kind of neighborhood, but like in PA. And you can look this up. There was like a white couple.
I'm trying to play music to get us away from the depression.
I know. I just want to cover this real quick. It's
Go
a
ahead.
similar kind of story, and it's on YouTube. Like I think, my point I want to get to is just like, it's crazy how much violence is just like they don't even censor it anymore. I can't tell you how many like straight up murders I've seen on major social medias that do not get banned in like the last 5 years.
Yeah, they put it all
Like,
online.
my white couple was bullying this other white guy across the street in PA. Apparently they said they bullied him for years and harassed him for years. And it was snowing, so they dumped all the snow on his side of the street. So he came over and was like, guys, I'm tired of you guys fucking with me. And they just kept calling him names and fucking with him. So he went school shooter on their ass and shot him up. Then he went back to, they weren't dead. He went back to his house, got his AR. Remember, all this is on camera. It might even still be on YouTube. Got his AR, finished him off, and then went to his house and killed himself. This is all on camera.
That's depressing.
Like a Ring camera. I feel like that stuff happens, and that didn't even make, like, it wasn't news like everybody was talking about it. That was like local news. Like, it makes you wonder, like, how much these kind of things happen, especially like in the white community, that just never gets talked about.
That
never hear about this.
I don't like talking about the sad shoot 'em up stuff. We should.
We're
literally
gonna move
song.
on from it. We're gonna move on from it, but I just think it's interesting. You know, all the gun violence that never really gets touched on in this country. You need to have Uvalde numbers to actually get coverage because of how often these kind of things happen.
Yeah, no, that point is true. That's why I don't watch local news. It is very depressive. They will enter the segment, they will enter the show talking about, oh yeah, family of 4 killed. They will do that shit. That's all they pretty much coverage is. Their coverage is just about like really depressing shit that goes on in your local community. Not just something that happened fucking 5 states away. No, in your area. Be on the lookout for this human. This human just shot up 5 people. Like, I don't want to hear that. Can I get us out of this mood?
Yeah.
Can Michael Jackson serenade us?
Lady in My Life?
No, this is PYT. God damn. I be slumping and shit when we start talking about these types of deep. The death and shit, the shootings especially. Oh boy, should have just played this. He would have got the girl back. With
the boombox cassette tape,
dude, come on,
kept it real classic.
Them rom-coms are not just for show, bro. I can't tell you the amount of times I've been like not serenading, but I can't tell you the amount of times I've brought out some R&B lyric to some girl. That shit is not for just show. That shit could be a literal textbook of how to get some.
It's a fine line between like swaggy and corny though. The mouthpiece got to be on point.
Nah, I'll be corny
really
with it.
Off.
I'll be corny with it. I don't mind the corny though, because certain girls like the corny.
I feel like a tinge, but that's kind of my game. Like a tinge of corny. I think a tinge of corny. It's not gonna work on everyone, but a tinge of
an off-white.
You gotta
corny.
come in kind of cold, but like an off-white corny, kind of is cold.
No, I'd be in there. It depends though. It's all strategy. You gotta come up with.
As long as you like are 100% dead ass with it, and you're confident about the off-white corny, I think it pulls off. You're 100% dead ass.
You just gotta have confidence with it. Yeah, you're right. Talk about crypto.
You want to talk? Oh yeah, there was a story. I believe this is Australia.
No. It was Australia?
Yeah, Crypto.com sues a user after they were supposed to refund them $100, but they sent them $10 million instead.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so the Australian woman, they were refunding an Australian woman $100, and they ended up sending $10 million instead. So you know they on her ass trying to get that money back.
What did she do?
Apparently, I don't think there's any information right now about. I think she's on the run, bro.
You would have to be. Are you legally liable? I mean, are you legally what's the word?
They said that she had. I see it now. She started building a multi-million-dollar house with a home gym and a cinema, and they're trying to put a lien on the house to get the money back.
Are you legally? Is it mandatory for you to give that money
back?
Took
several months. It took several months for them to realize what happened. I have no idea. This is Australia. I have no idea. This is Australia.
Well, Crypto.com is an exchange.
Yeah.
So you have to sign, and it's an online exchange. You have to sign terms and conditions and agreements.
It says Crypto.com will likely win in court. Because it's a well-established company.
I would not give
That's
that
what
money
it's
back.
saying.
I mean, I know it's not like you said, you're taking them to court. It's not even,
I'm doing a race.
you'd have to.
What are you talking about?
But what do you do? Like, you can just cash out?
I'm doing a race.
Because you can't cash out
Yes.
10 million. Can you?
I'm sending that shit to a foreign bank. I'm doing a race. I'm doing a race where they can't extradite me for a goddamn.
Get off the grid?
That's only if you're willing to like give up everything and not be able to come back to America.
Or Australia? Or you
Or
saying
somebody
you
was
did,
like, you should do some DGen crypto shit. DGen, like you should invest it in some like crypto protocol where just like you can kind of time the swing trade, double it, cash out, give them the money back, and you still got the 10 mil.
She decided to build a house. That was her decision.
This is somebody. People are stupid. I'm sorry. People are dumb.
She decided to build a fucking house.
With like a home gym and a cinema and like, I'm telling you.
You should pay a fucking hacker. I don't know how you find them, but you should pay a fucking hacker to get your ass off the grid. Wipe you clean off the grid. That's what I would do. You could find somebody. I could pay somebody to get me on the dark web and get my shit off the grid. Like in You, when he was just changing every single time he murdered somebody, he was just changing his identity. I'm doing that shit. I'm gonna have that.
Joe Goldberg.
What's that guy's name that he had the little friend that was the hacker? I'm having
Bettelheim.
Yeah, I'm having him as the connect.
Will Bettelheim.
I'm gonna get myself a little Nokia.
And now on season 4, he's Nick. They was calling him Nick. He was in France and he was like, Nick.
Man,
Nick.
I'm telling you. I don't know how, like, but people don't plan for these situations. You know what I mean? Like, imagine that feeling of just waking up. You expected $100. You check your account. And you're like, what? Let me exit the app real quick. You know how people would, let me exit the app real quick. Reload this. And you see 6 zeros, 7 zeros. Whoo. Like, in that instance, like, what's even the first move? Like, we talking like some Ocean's 11 type shit. Like, that's a heist.
Call the bank and say, hey, you got money coming in. Transfer that shit.
What are those taxes?
This is murder. It's months though.
She's gonna lose
she didn't
that.
know. She's gonna lose it. Remember, it's months though, right? So we don't. They came after her. They realized what happened months later. So she probably didn't know she was gonna get sued for that. She probably was just like, oh, I guess they just fucked up.
No, you'd have to figure, right? You'd have to figure. Because even...
Yeah, that's too much, yeah.
Because even, like, I'm sure everybody's had this scenario happen where it's like, you might buy something at, like, 6 p.m. on Friday night, and the money doesn't get removed from your account until Monday. So you go a couple of days without the money. It's not even pending. You don't even see that they removed any money or that there's anything pending. You just seem like, it just feels like you got away with it. It feels like you escaped it. It's probably the same scenario here, but the opposite. Like, damn, like I came up. But you gotta do the race on that.
I would do the race. I'd be in Africa somewhere, living like a god, like doing the race.
Man, I don't watch enough movies in order to make a move on this. when these types of situations happen, you gotta go and you gotta watch some Ocean's 11 or something. You gotta figure out how you're gonna be able to maneuver. That's crazy.
I'd be out.
You want to talk about Joe Rogan? The bane of your
we
existence.
can talk about him. I don't even know what I'm gonna say. I mean, like, it seems like right now he's just really pandering towards the right wing because he knows that's his base.
The thing that I'm most confused about, and let me just say this before I play the clip. I have a clip for y'all. The thing that I'm most confused about with Joe Rogan is he claims to be progressive. No. Yeah, he claims to be a he claims to be on the left. I'm not going to give him a title, but he claims to be on the left. He always talks, I voted for Bernie Sanders, right? He always talks about these things. Yet he has the biggest platform in existence of an individual, and he continues to have people on his show that are...
Or known racist white nationalists.
Some of those, yes. I can't even disagree with that. I was going to try to give some blowback to that, but yes. Some of them, yes. And on top of that, a lot of the times, and this is my biggest thing with Joe Rogan, is like a lot of the times he'll be speaking to somebody that's more left-leaning, and you know, he'll regurgitate back to them, like he'll try to make it seem like he's on that side, like, oh yeah, like free housing, yeah, like let's help people, social care, welfare, right? But then he'll be talking to somebody like who he's talking to today, or whoever, whenever this episode came out this week, somebody like Aaron Rodgers, who's known to be a little bit more right-leaning in some things, has some views, I'll say that. I don't want to just pigeonhole people. And then he'll take the exact same stance as them, like he did in this. Let me play this audio.
And I'm hoping no one who is alive today had ever experienced a true pandemic. And I'm hoping that now that this is over, people are going to, recognize that some serious errors were made and not repeat those. That's the best you can get out of it.
So what do you tell those people?
Vote Republican.
Aaron Rodgers.
That's what a lot of them are going to do anyway.
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, more than 1 million people transferred over to the Republican Party, I think, in 2021 alone. Find out what that number is. But, you look at guys like Ron DeSantis, who kept Florida open and had some pretty reasonable policies in terms of, like, what to do about COVID. And, he mapped it out on television. He was, widely criticized for this, where he was saying, like, we need to protect our elders. We need to, make sure that medical care is available for those people. And everyone else, you should be able to do whatever you want to do. You protect your freedom. No one who is...
See, I have a problem with Joe Rogan, man. I have a problem with him. Let me be transparent. I still watch his show. I don't watch it, but I still listen to his show. Mainly because he has great connects, bro. The connections that he has are amazing. He has a lot of people on there that I'm interested in hearing from. But Joe Rogan as an individual, I just don't understand where he lies. I'm a type of person where I try to align myself when as a consumer. I try to align myself with people that I feel like have my values. With him, it's just like it's tough. It's tough. A lot of times, I'm just like, what the fuck are you? Sometimes I got to turn it off because it's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
He just feels like he just to me just kind of feels like he's always felt like that, like a Republican. I've never got a progressive vibe from Joe Rogan.
That's just what he says. I don't know if he says he's progressive. He says that he's left leaning. Because a lot of times he'll talk up certain things about social welfare, sure. And he takes certain stances about like how he doesn't think that people should pull themselves up by the bootstraps and blah blah blah. A lot of those stances, but I think those are just normal stances to have. As just a human being.
I hate that term because people always ignore history when they say that.
No. You misunderstood what I'm saying. I'm saying he doesn't think that.
Oh, okay. I missed that. Sorry.
Yeah. So a lot of times it's just like, oh yeah, Joe Rogan, go ahead. I like that. I like what you just said. But then sometimes, like this fucking episode, he'll say things like that where it's like, yeah, I'm gonna big up Ron DeSantis because he didn't fucking shut down his state and make people wear masks. Like, we were in the middle of a pandemic.
And people were dying left and right.
And I understand the science in hindsight proves that that stance was completely fine. Outdoors. Sure. Or if you want to talk about the statistics, but most people, and like I understand, like most people, like he's like more libertarian, so it's like, yeah, like people should just be allowed to, make their own way and choose their own stance on things and be able to behave in the way that they want to behave. But there are laws in place to protect people from doing stupid shit. The laws are in place to restrict you from doing what you want to do. I mean, there are some things that are trying to be passed by guess who? Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
We just saw Roe v. Wade just get denounced. So, and reversed. They were literally voting on same-sex marriage, in case you guys didn't know. So, but like most laws are not in place in order to restrict you from doing what you're trying to do and what you want to do. Most laws are in place to protect society. Another thing that he said is like, he hopes people learn from the pandemic, and I'm like, when in the future, and I know they're talking about like this probably could happen again, but like when in the future do we see another pandemic happen? The last pandemic happened 100 fucking years ago.
No, I see it. I will say I see it more because the technology, AI, they're going to be able to fuck around with biology and create super viruses.
Yeah, that's valid.
They're going to be able to create viruses as deadly as the Black Death and as transmissible as like COVID. What is it? What is the strain that's the most transmissible of COVID?
SARS?
Delta of COVID.
Oh, the strain.
beta?
It was like
Yeah, it was-
Omicron
which
and
one?
Delta and the Alpha.
Omicron, yeah. It's like as transmissible as Omicron, but as deadly as Black Death. Like they're gonna be able to make some fucking wicked diseases.
But in that case, it's like, Joe Rogan, wouldn't you want to be surrounded by people that are wearing masks? Maybe COVID wasn't the most deadly for a certain, group of people, for a certain age group of people. But if it was, in the future, let's say another one comes out, and if it was, wouldn't you want to have not national shutdown, like completely shut down, but like, wouldn't you want people to at least walk around with masks and be responsible for making sure that other people are not getting sick?
It's usually like a special kind of jackass that, like, that's
A
my thing. It's
special
like, if we have
kind.
if we have another pandemic that is like COVID was bad, but like pandemic, like like what was the Spanish flu? A lot of these guys who survive COVID who are anti-mask, they're gonna get dusted off. A lot of times these guys are not the best people. I'm not wishing death. I'm just saying, like, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. That's all I really have to say about Joe Rogan. I don't know what you thought was smart about not wearing masks during a pandemic.
And the whole thing about freedom, I just don't understand that from the Republican side. I don't understand where they're talking about freedom at, because it seems like everything that Republicans do, and at least in Senate, at least in the Senate, in the House,
It's taking away someone's freedoms.
it doesn't it? Doesn't it? I mean, it's not even doesn't
Yeah,
it? It is.
Talking about freedoms, like, all right, cool, dude, cool. In your house, on your property, do what you want to do.
Literally,
but you
bro.
cannot tell someone what to do in their business. I agree. I can agree with that. If someone's business is like, you don't have to wear masks, cool, dude. But I better not see you whimpering and crying on the floor because someone in their business tells you you have to wear a mask in my establishment.
Look up the.
If that's how you want it.
It's kind of a side point, but look up the just as proof, Republicans are not on your fucking side of freedom. Look up the vote about same-sex marriage that they had recently, and tell me how many Republicans voted no against same-sex marriage. Just as a little evidence. We already know Roe v. Wade. We already know that. We already saw what Clarence Thomas said. We already know what they think about federal loans.
It's July 19th, 261, 157 vote.
So 157 on the nay side, correct?
That I don't know. I don't know if it's nay.
But regardless, 157. This is a House vote, probably, obviously, right?
Right.
157 people voted no against. See if you can find the number of Republicans. But it's because it's probably all Republicans. 157 people.
Well, yeah, 47 Republicans in support. So I'm assuming the 157 is the Republican.
Bruh.
I'm assuming that this one.
Bruh. Like, Republicans
taking away someone's right.
Republicans are not on the side of freedom. I don't know where y'all got this from.
Anglo white Christian state. It really is just them worshiping white supremacy and pretending that it's God.
Just because you want to carry around a weapon and not wear a mask, you're going to vote Republican. Seriously? Joe Rogan. It's irresponsible. It's like when we were talking about the Joe Budden Adam 22 thing. It's like, if you have a platform, you gotta have some morals that you gotta stand on, bro. It's disgusting. Pakistan flooding.
That's pretty big. That's like, a lot of people are saying this is the first big examples of climate change and what's to come, in other parts of the planet.
I don't know if it's the first. It's most recent.
But millions of people in Pakistan are currently homeless. Thousands have died. Mass flooding all across the country. A lot of this is due to 7,000 glaciers on the Indus River that are now melting due to climate change. So there's a combination of high levels of rainfall plus the glaciers melting leading to massive floods in Pakistan. So I just wanted to bring this up because I just kind of wanted to see what your thoughts were on climate change in general, and if we have a chance. I mean, I imagine conditions like this all over the globe. Flooding, extreme heat, and people dying of heat strokes, people drowning. You know what I mean? All kinds of extreme weather just constantly happening.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this last pod. In terms of global warming, I'm here for the ride. I honestly don't think that. I mean, you say you have a lot of hope when we talk about this. I don't have any hope. I'm not optimistic because everything is for capitalist gain. So I don't think that anything, like, I don't know how Pakistan's government is. I don't know what their economy is like. I don't know any of that shit. But in terms of, let's say this type of shit were to happen here, because people talk about how Hawaii is going to eventually flood over. People talk about how California is going to start flooding. We're coastal. It's probably going to be the same type of situation here. You think American government is going to be like, oh yeah, like, let's help all of these displaced people? Not really. Not really.
You're gonna see massive climate refugees, like places like Duluth, Mississippi, Minnesota, like Duluth, Minnesota, and Toronto, all around the Great Lakes and those surrounding states. That's gonna be prime real estate. I mean, this is probably the time to start getting up there. And I'm scared to go up there because, you know, it's like, you know, we're not gonna get into it, but you know, if you want to buy some land, that's probably a good place to buy land. Especially land like right outside of a major city or a decent sized town.
I'm just shocked that you say you're optimistic. You say it's because of the technology that's going to be in place, and maybe they do some shit at the last minute. Where
well,
it's
if we
like,
crack fusion, we'll have enough energy to have carbon capture machines pull a lot of the carbon out of the air.
But they're gonna milk that shit though. You know they're not gonna put that out.
Plants
you know they're not gonna put these things into work.
Drinkable.
They're not gonna make this machinery work until the very, very, very last minute before they milk every single last penny, every half a penny.
It has to be financially feasible, financially like lucrative. Like we have to reach a point where clean energy is way cheaper than gas and oil for them to ever consider switching over to that full time. With battery, we're having massive battery breakthroughs. That's one of the biggest problems with like wind energy and solar energy is that it's not constant. So that, you know, if it just goes off and there's no sunlight, there's no wind, you'll have rolling blackouts. So you need to have battery solutions that can store enough energy that can last you during these periods. Or also they talk about like having these giant cables between countries where countries can now buy and trade electricity. So maybe one area is not getting a lot of sunlight and they're not getting a lot of wind, like a UK where it's just always overcast. They're not getting a lot of wind, they're not getting a lot of sunlight.
Right.
A country that's getting a lot of both can buy their excess energy they're holding in their little battery farms, and they'll just send it through they'll send it through the cable, and they can charge up their batteries with the energy. So that can create a whole new type of, you know, energy economy.
It's only going to be for certain groups though. I'm not talking about white people. I'm just saying, like, it's going to even national. Like, it's probably going to be like only certain countries can get that type of technology going. It's gonna be a commodity like a nuclear weapon. Like, we don't want, you know, certain countries in Africa to have desalination technology. We don't want Russia to get desalination technology. You know, it's gonna be like that. It's gonna be basically an arms race. I can definitely see it because, you know, they're gonna politicize everything. It's a global issue, so they're gonna make it a global political issue. I don't see. Maybe I'm pessimistic. I'm not pessimistic about a lot of things, but
I'm pessimist. I'm positive that we'll survive, but I'm pessimistic on the fact that, of course, there's just going to be resource wars and people just using it to control and dominate, especially Africa. You know, if Africa decides one day, we're going to get a fair price for our resources, and we're not going to let you guys run our countries by proxy, puppet governments. These other countries, their standard of living will drop. The day that happens, dudes are going to be in Africa just like, it's going to be straight up wars. It's going to be like Afghanistan 2.0.
There will be wars over water.
There's going to be a whole new conspiracy of why we need to go into Africa and do something.
Yeah. I'm
telling you. It would be like for Africa to be really liberated, they would have to come together like on an EU type shit and fight. It would be a war if Africa just decided, we're done with your bullshit. And I'm saying it, you heard it here.
In terms of things to come, we could talk about our watch lists for the future. Anything that your eye is on in terms of, or ear is on, in terms of the next coming months.
Breath of the Wild 2.
When is that coming?
2023. Spring. They're saying spring. It's gotten delayed a couple of times, so spring 2023. Breath of the Wild 2.
Okay.
You know what Breath of the Wild is?
The Zelda movie. Or
Zelda game.
video game.
Yes, sir. A sequel to 2017's Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, first open world Zelda.
I've seen some play. I've seen some gameplay. I'm looking more towards the Rick and Morty. That that season premieres next
That
week.
game looks weird.
No.
New
The
season's
show
coming out
next
It's
week.
coming out next week. Oh shit, yeah, of course. I don't think I have YouTube TV anymore, so I don't know where I'm gonna watch it.
Hulu.
Is it coming out on Hulu?
It's an FX show, isn't it?
Yeah, but I can't watch it when it comes out. I don't know. No, it's not. It's Adult Swim.
Oh, okay. I'm pretty sure it's on Hulu though. I watch it on Hulu.
But isn't that like after the season is done?
It's like every episode.
That's true. It's probably like a day because I like to watch it on Sunday when it comes out. So I probably won't be able to do that because YouTube TV is like $60 a month.
Another thing that I saw, and this is coming next year probably, was that Apple TV is getting a Godzilla show, like from their MonsterVerse, like the whole Godzilla vs Kong thing.
Yeah,
They're getting a show.
it's gonna be garbage.
I don't know why you say that. Apple TV's actually been making pretty good shows, apparently. I don't have Apple TV.
I don't have it either. Do you have to actually have an Apple TV, or can you just get the app?
You can get the app. It's a subscription service. I can hear that thing that you're fiddling.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I didn't think you could hear it.
Anything else from Watchlist? Anything that you've seen
That's
recently
it.
that was pretty good that people should add to their watch list? I know you're the documentary king.
I watched a couple of docs. There was one about John McAfee that I didn't finish. That was kind of interesting. You know McAfee, the McAfee antivirus?
Yeah.
He's like crazy. He's like how I imagine what any like super rich billionaire would be. He's like on all kinds of drugs. He was like on the run because they thought he killed his neighbor in Brazil. So he was just like on the run with like his like 18-year-old wife, and he's like looks like he's in his 60s. Or his 18-year-old fiance. Then something happened where I guess she left, and then he ended up like dating like a prostitute and marrying. He married her, I'm pretty sure, from Miami, and they were just like on a yacht, just like constantly on the run.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know what was going on. I was just like McAfee, like growing up, just seeing like that annoying ass security shit I always tried to get rid of. That's the dude.
I'm trying to make a joke about something antivirus. He sounds like he knows how to. I don't know what the joke would be, but
And then it was like this whole thing
he
where
definitely knows
like,
something about security. That's for damn sure.
he was like on bath salts, and he was like on all types of shit.
All
And
right.
I feel like dudes get rich and lose their fucking minds. Like
When you get a certain
just
type of money,
because.
yeah, you probably get a little paranoid, especially if you get in a sleazy way. But yes, sir, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's another one for the books. That was episode 9 of the
another
Top
one.
Tier Podcast. Last words?
Episode 9 on Top Tier Podcast. It was a good episode, guys, man. I'm excited. We'll see you guys on Monday for next week's episode. And like and subscribe, comment, send us some topics. We love hearing topics from the fans.
Yes,
if you got
sir.
any topics you think you want us to talk about in the podcast, please send it to us. Let us know in the comments. And we'll be back to you guys for next week's episode of Top Tier Podcast.
All right.
All right, everyone. Signing off.